Alright, so today we are retrofitting S13 Coilovers to fit on the MX83 Cressida. We got DJ here because he wants to be involved in car activities because, well, he doesn't have a project of his own. We're trying to get him one, but it proves to be harder these days when all the JDMs are just going up in price. So we got the back seat pulled out, about to pull out the top of the back seat. DJ's gonna vacuum the car because he's just a nice guy and decided that's what he wants to do. And then we're going to pull out the rear struts and then retrofit the top hats to fit on the coilovers. So I'm gonna put on the time lapse. Y'all are gonna find out what's gonna happen. Alright, so I got the rear shocks removed from the Cressida. It's a pretty straightforward process. There's just 3 bolts on the top hats, and the top hats are located in the back of the car. You have to take out the 2 back seats, the lower and the rear. And once you have those out, the top hats are located right in the front. There's a cover on them, and then 3 bolts to take off the strut. Once you have the strut off, then there's one 19mm bolt right here that you have to remove, and then it should just slide right out. So then once you got that out, there's a 17mm bolt on the top here. You're gonna wanna remove that. If you have tension on your spring, make sure you do it in a safe way. Either clamp your spring or turn the strut away from you as you do it and put the drill up against a wall. So as you do it, the strut can shoot like across your garage, and of course keep yourself clear of it. And then once you do that, remove your top hat. Once your top hat's removed, you're gonna have to get this little band off and then remove the boot. And then once you have the boot removed, there is several tack welds located around the perimeter of the back side of your top hat. Alright, once you got your holes drilled out, you're going to want to put the top hat on the coilover and then bolt it all together. So, depending on what coilover you have, you might have to cut out the center here, but on mine, I don't have to. So I'm going to bolt it all down and then put the studs back in and then put the coilover back in the car. Alright, day 2 working on the suspension on the Cressida. So my S13 Coilovers, they're a set of Megans. They actually had the rear bushings completely blown out. And that's why I ended up having to get new coilovers for these 2 vehicles because these weren't working. Now, I just found out yesterday that these are in fact Megan Coilovers. I didn't even know that. I thought they were just some eBays, and I was looking at them when I was taking them all apart, and I found labels and stuff that would indicate that they're Megans. I mean, it says it right on the top hat of the front ones. So yeah, I was a little bit worried about what I was gonna do about the bushing because the ones that I had were completely degraded and blown out. And what I ended up being able to do was drilling out the bushing from the stock Cressida shock, and then I removed all the rubber from the outside of it, and I was able to push it into this bottom piece of the coilover for the rear. So that actually works really, really well. It doesn't move at all, there's no give. And that's the proper diameter for the bolt that holds the assembly together. So there won't be any bouncing going on in here like there would be if you use the stock S13 bushing. So that's a really good way for me. I don't know if this will work for anybody else, because if you're using a different coilover, this might have a different diameter and it might not line up. But for me, in this particular case, it works perfect. So I'm gonna get this on the other side, and then I'm gonna pop out the piece on this one and do it to this one, and then the back should be all good to go. Alright, let's see how it looks. Much better. Now we're actually on coilovers. Let's see this bounce. What are we working with here? Nice and stiff. That probably drives so much better. Alright, so you're going to want to cut off the bracket that has your brake line on it, because if you don't, then you have to disconnect your brake line and then re-bleed it. So I'm just going to get in here and chop that off. This looks like it's an ABS connection, so I'm going to have to be really careful getting that all off. But yeah, I'm just going to chop this ear off so I can move it to the side. I'm going to disconnect the caliper, set it over here, disconnect the sway bar. We'll figure out what to do with that later. And then there is two 17mm bolts holding on the assembly down here. So everything's pretty old and corroded, so it's going to be a bit of a process, but we'll get through it. So I'm going to get to it. Alright, so I removed the dust shield because it was just nothing but in the way, and I cut the strut off this knuckle. Now, you can't weld to the strut, however, I did leave a tiny lip of metal right here, so when I go to line this up, it just sits right on top of it. You see that? It kind of uses it as a guide ring to keep it lined up in the middle. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut all the ears off this plate, and then I'm going to expose bare metal with my bench grinder and my wire wheel so I can weld these two together. And then once I have those welded together, I can just twist it onto my coilover. Alright, got the two ears off. Now I'm gonna go clean up the bottom here so I can put it on. Maybe this is the bottom. There we go, that's the bottom. There we go. Gonna go clean that up and then weld it together. Alright, so I got the car on coilovers all the way around, full conversion, but now I'm having this issue where my one of my injectors decided to bust a seal. So yeah, when I turn the car on, it like sprays fuel out of injector 5 or 6, I'm not sure which one. So I got to take all this stuff off and pop out the injectors and the fuel rail and figure out which one's leaking, and probably just gonna replace all the seals. But yeah, so I'm gonna start pulling this apart. Hopefully I can beat the sun going down, because I'd like to take this for a test drive today. So let's get to it. Alright, I think I got the leak all taken care of, so I got it all put back together. I'm gonna start it up and, well, see if there's any leaks. So, Cressida's all lowered on S13 coilovers, rides great. I replaced the injector seals because those were leaking all over the place. No more fuel leaks. So yeah, the car is driving pretty nice. There was a little bit of rubbing issues, I think, in the front, and then the back brakes squeal a little bit. So I did end up taking these off and like lubing everything up with anti-seize. So hopefully that rides a little bit better, but we'll see. So other than that, it's doing pretty good. Now all I gotta do is get some wheels on this thing. I have the Steelies, which I'd like to run, but the wheels keep on going flat on them. I think it's because they sat for a while and then they debeaded and then moisture got inside them right around the rim, so it's not allowing them to seal. So I'm gonna pop those off and I'm going to sand everything down, so maybe the bead will seal. We'll see what happens, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with the progress that I've made on the Cressida. Also, DJ came through and he vacuumed out the whole car, which you guys saw. So shout out to DJ for coming through and vacuuming the car. It's greatly appreciated. Now all I got to do is get all this BS off here and figure out what I'm going to do with the color. I think I might want to wrap it, but I'm not sure. So yeah. Thank you guys for watching the video all the way through. I know I've got plenty of projects going on and some of them haven't been really getting as much attention as the other ones. Sorry, MR2. But yeah, all in good time. We'll have all these things done, and a little bit gets done here and there. So I appreciate you guys watching the videos and watching all the way through, and you know, pressing the like button. The like button pushes the content to more people, so of course always do that. And if you have any questions or comments, make sure you leave them down below, and I try to get back to as many as I can. And yeah, so like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next one.